Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Proper regulations to be implemented for the gaming industry. Procedures to be put in place to protect contractors on government projects. A National Poverty Eradication and Reduction Program hosts graduation ceremony. Thank you for joining us to our top story. Finance Minister the Honorable Larry Hawai says proper regulations will be implemented for the gaming industry, which would make a contribution to tourism. He made this comment in his contribution to the debate on the Provisional Collection of Taxes Amendment, Order 2012, which proposed to raise taxes on casinos and gaming tables and to increase classes of motorists.
Just mere weeks before the 2014 budget is delivered in the lower house, Finance Minister Larry Hawai says a regulatory body will soon be established with oversight over the gaming and casino industry. Speaking at a press conference hours after news broke on a casino owner having been charged in the U.S. for failing to file earnings from a Trinidad-based casino, the Finance Minister says taking this action meant safeguarding persons in the industry as well as ensuring accountability.
A proper system of regulation, therefore, requires a regulatory authority with independently appointed members to administer and to supervise the gaming and gambling industry, as well as to promote social responsibility in all matters pertaining to gaming and gambling, including the transparency of prices, costs, and proceeds for good causes and for the Consolidated Fund. The Minister of Finance and the Economy recommends that from a modern regulatory perspective and in the interest of effectiveness, transparency, accountability, and consistency, based on the experience of other jurisdictions, the regulatory system will be responsible for the regulation and licensing of all gaming, including gaming machines, and that a regulatory commission will be established which will have all licensing and inspection powers.
Last October, during the 2013 National Budget presentation, the Minister of Finance, Larry Hawai, announced that government was seeking to take more effective control and to capture more fully the revenue generated by private members' clubs. He says that bringing this into effect will ensure licenses are provided and strict adherence to governance structures.
Cabinet advised that the Gaming Commission would fall under the remit of the Ministry of Finance and the Economy and the supervisory authority for all financial institutions and listed businesses. The new regulatory environment would provide for a modern and effective system of gaming through legislation which would protect consumers, would protect the vulnerable, including minors and problem gamblers, and would keep criminal and subversive elements from infiltrating the industry.
However, the minister says there is much to be gained if strict governance of this industry is enforced, as it has the potential to rake in high revenue.
Regulation would, on balance, benefit the society with a reduction in social concerns, maintaining employment, which at present amounts to approximately 7,000 individuals, with an associated weekly wage bill of $6.7 million, or approximately $350 million a year, and increased tax revenue from corporation taxes, bearing in mind that in 2012, excise taxes amounted to $28 million, and I'm advised that with a properly regulated industry, this figure could rise to as high as $300 million.
In recent times, Tourism Minister Stephen Cadiz indicated that there was potential for the industry to be merged with the hospitality sector. Today, the Finance Minister says interest from foreign hoteliers in the casino business has sparked the need for proper regulation.
One potential international investor coming into Trinidad, and they are in the hospitality sector. So they were looking at the hotel, not really at a casino per se. But as part of their operations, they normally, in other jurisdictions in which they operate, they do have gambling type or gaming type activities. And they have indicated to us that, in a sense, coming into Trinidad, they would not want to embark on any gaming activities associated with their hotel business until such time as we have a proper gaming industry in place, because it is likely to affect their business in other well-regulated jurisdictions, such as in the United States, for example.
Minister Hawai says well-regulated legislation will ensure transparency before the Financial Action Task Force. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
In other news, multi-million-dollar works to repair roads in Diego Martin were hindered by gunmen, reported Works and Infrastructure Minister Dr. The Honorable Surajratan Ramachan. He made the comments while delivering an address at the opening ceremony of the Diego Martin lay-by project and La Puerta roadworks held alongside the Starlight Shopping Plaza.
The minister said that work on the La Puerta project was hindered by gunmen who intimidated the contractors, and that only by the intervention of a resident was the situation pacified. He noted that a similar situation occurred with work at the River Estate Circular Road area earlier this year, and that Bagatelle Blue Basin Councillor Lisa Mirage had to face off with gunmen and attempted to placate the situation.
Unfortunately, the contractors' workers were threatened, and I believe some of them were actually taken away from the job by the gunmen. And the contractor quit and didn't come back to do the job. And I cannot give the contractor any wrong for that, because the safety of his employees and himself and his equipment is foremost.
He complimented Mirage for going beyond the call of duty as a councillor to ensure work was completed.
We cannot continue as a society to have such lawlessness, where people are prepared to work hard for the benefit of the society, where people are prepared to work hard to contribute so that others can enjoy a better quality of life. And you have people who do not want to work hard, but want to come with the barrel of a gun in order to gain income and make gains from those who are working hard.
He says it is therefore incumbent that we do something to stop this kind of behavior and protect the decent citizens of this country who are willing to work hard and contribute.
And therefore, I'm sure that my colleague, Mr. Emmanuel George, is much aware of this. We have discussed it, and I'm sure that he will initiate procedures that will protect our contractors who have to do work in this country and provide bread and butter and tea and coffee and Milo and milk for the children of this nation whose workers work, whose fathers and mothers work in these companies and have to feed them when they go at home.
The minister says he has discussed the issue with National Security Minister Emmanuel George, who was present at the ceremony, and noted that procedures would be put in place to protect contractors. Also present was Diego Martin West MP and opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley, who expressed concern about the intimidation of contractors. The total cost of the Diego Martin lay-by is $5.6 million, with the concrete and roadworks being done by Patrick Gordon's Construction and the paving works by Jasimco Pavers Limited. The total cost of the La Puerta Avenue roadworks is $2.5 million, with both the road rehabilitation works and the road reconstruction and drainage works being done by Siraram Brothers Limited. Joseph Lopez, News 4.
When we come back, poverty eradication graduation. Stay with us. Minister of the People, Dr. The Honorable Glen Ramadasing, is urging citizens to use information technology to their advantage through becoming computer literate in an effort to rid poverty from our society. Speaking at the graduation ceremony from the National Poverty Eradication and Reduction Program, the minister called on members of the public to take advantage of the program.
Over 155 persons in the Princestown district graduated from the latest National Poverty Eradication and Reduction Program at the San Fernando City Hall Auditorium. The 6-week program, which commenced in April at the Princestown Telecenter, provided training on the use of computers and the internet with basic advanced courses in Microsoft Word, Excel and PowerPoint. Minister of the People and Social Development, Dr. Glen Ramadasing, says the program aims at empowering people and moving them out of poverty situations.
Poverty eradication will not happen overnight. It requires a community effort. In fact, in order to boost living standards and eradicate poverty in a sustained manner, sustained broad-based economic advancement, social development, and environmental protection is needed.
Currently, there are 4 telecenters located nationwide which give citizens access to advanced computers with high-speed internet access. Services such as fax transmission, scanning and photocopying are available in a telecenter business services area, providing micro-entrepreneurs and small businesses with the facilities they need to conduct business. The business services area is also equipped with a conference room that can be used by business persons and community groups who wish to gather to discuss issues relevant to the community. The Minister of the People says the program not only bridges the gap in the information technology world, but educates people for the future ahead.
You can use the technology, and this program is a window to the world through technology. It is the great Nelson Mandela who said that education is the most powerful weapon to change the world. And those words cannot be more fitting here today. Where there exists social inequality, you know what you do? You bring the digital age to bring unity and to bring equity in the society.
A number of the trainees took the time to share how the centers made an impact on their application and use of computer technology.
Once someone is computer literate, life becomes a lot easier and indeed faster. We are now able to assist our children with school projects and research more efficiently and effectively. We can also keep in touch with our friends and family overseas. And most important, we are now more skilled for the job market.
We came in empty-handed, but when we left, we were well educated with the knowledge of almost everything we had to know about computer literacy. This class was held 2 days for the week, Mondays and Wednesdays. Part of it was very challenging for those of us who never had the opportunity to use a computer. We had an excellent teacher, and we were cooperative students. And this enabled us to capture our lessons very easily.
Minister in the Ministry of the People and Social Development, Vanilla Allen Toppin, urged participants to use the knowledge gained to generate wealth for them.
You have to create wealth for yourself. You have to find ideas to create wealth for yourself, and sustainable wealth in that you mustn't be rich today and tomorrow you're poor like me. You have to keep it going. You have to have an idea that will carry you through and carry your children and your grandchildren through. So I urge you, all of you who have been, who are now computer literate and who are working steadily to improve the quality of your life, make sure that your ideas translate into money.
All services provided by the Telecenter are free of charge and can be used by small and micro enterprises, NGOs, and other community groups. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Government is taking steps to ensure free employment with a view to stimulate the growth of the economy through the ratification of an ILO convention.
Cabinet has taken a decision to ratify the International Labour Organization Convention No. 122, Employment Policy Convention 1964. This was revealed by Minister of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, the Honourable Aaron MacLeod. In October 2006, the ILO 144 Tripartite Committee, which is a committee set up in Trinidad and Tobago in compliance with ILO Convention 144, recommended this ratification to the then Minister of Labour. However, it was never taken forward.
The current ILO 144 Tripartite Committee has re-examined Convention No. 122 and has maintained that the convention should be ratified in light of the central role of employment to social and economic development, and taking into account the lessons learned from the negative impact of the recent economic and financial crisis on jobs, on employment, and on conditions of work.
Minister MacLeod gave a comprehensive description of the ILO convention.
The provisions of the convention are in keeping with the policy framework for sustainable development of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which places focus on workers at the center of the development process, as well as with two of the 5 priorities outlined in our medium-term policy framework, namely 2011-2014, economic growth, job creation, competitiveness and innovation, and poverty reduction and human capital development. Further efforts currently being undertaken by the Ministry of Labour and Small and Micro Enterprise Development for the promotion of our decent work agenda and program and the establishment of a social dialogue process in Trinidad and Tobago. And about that process, we have had a number of discussions and consultations. We recently appointed a task force, so we are ready for the takeoff. The key obligations arising from ratification of Convention number 122 are as follows: to declare and pursue as a major goal an active policy designed to promote full, productive, and freely chosen employment with a view to stimulating economic growth and development, raising levels of living, meeting manpower requirements, and overcoming unemployment and underemployment.
The Honourable Minister said that in collaboration with the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, his ministry is fulfilling its obligation to eradicate underemployment. He also noted that when the policy is ratified, Trinidad and Tobago will be joining other Caribbean states that have already ratified the policy, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Suriname and Jamaica. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, this week's Super League rundown. Stay with us. Guaya United and Club Sando continue to set the pace in the Blink B Mobile National Super League as they remain unbeaten following match day 7, which was contested on Sunday. The News 4 crew was at the Marvin Lee Stadium for the mid-table clash between Eastern rivals Joe Public FC and Real Maracas. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights from that match as well as a rundown of the scores.
It was an all-Eastern encounter when Joe Public FC hosted Real Maracas FC at the Marvin Lee Stadium on Sunday in the National Super League. Pernell Schultz had the first real sight of goal for Maracas, but it would take a much better effort to beat Kellon Rampasad in the public goal. Schultz showed some good skill on this attack, but lost his footing at a crucial time. Ellis Diet had no such problems as he put Joe Public ahead in the 16th minute. The skipper rifling in the ball past Barry Gonzalez in the Maracas goal. It got worse for the men from the Valley as they lost Aaron Peters after he was shown the red card by referee Neil Brizan for a dangerous tackle on Kashif Casey Clark as the half neared its close. Schultz was still the go-to man for Maracas in the second period, but he was still looking for his feet. Once again, it will be Diet showing him how it's done as he scores his second. The long-time Eastern Lions striker bearing the Sheldon Nesbitt cross with a neat header to make it 2-0 Joe Public, which was how it ended in Mokoya. In other matches on match day 7, Club Sando grabbed the lead on the standings on goal difference following a 6-0 pounding of the defence force. A double from Tiba McKnight and one apiece from Andy London, Devon Modest, Odell Armstrong and Nigel Daniel did the trick for Sando and kept the military men in the bottom half of the table. They are just above bottom place FC Santa Rosa, who are still looking for their second point of the season. They were beaten 3-1 by Guaya United, who are in second spot on 19 points. Kevin Jagdeo Singh, Ryan Stewart and Colin Hughes got the goals for the Eastern Counties team, and Jean-Luc Rochefort was the scorer for Keith Lecloy's men. Third place Westside Superstars dropped further off the pace set by the top two as they went down 2-1 to Stokely Vale FC in a tense battle in Plymouth. Christian Joseph opened the scoring for the Tobago team in the 12th minute. The Northerners conjured up an equalizer in the 74th through Kadeem Awai, but Joseph found the net again 3 minutes from regulation time to give Stokely Vale the win, which put them in 6th. League newcomers Malabar FC compounded the woes of defending champions Wassa FC with a 4-3 win at home. It was a tit-for-tat first half with 6 goals being scored in the opening 32 minutes. It took a late strike from the charismatic Gorian Hiley to give Malabar the win, which kept them in 4th position but level on points with Westside. The performance of the day was easily that of Brendan Joseph. The Bethel United striker scored all the goals for his team in their 6-5 triumph over Separia Spurs. Shaquille Henry and Sean Leon Tack had 1 each for Separia, and on another day, the hat-trick from their Jesse Edwards and the double from Ellis Diet would have been the top performances. But the double hat-trick from Brandon Joseph of Bethel was the big noise on matchday 7 in the National Super League. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sport.
News 4 continues after the break. Stay with us. Government is taking steps to prevent further deterioration of one of the magnificent 7 buildings, thereby preserving a piece of history that many citizens have been wanting.
Emergency stabilization works will begin on the Millfleur Estate, one of the magnificent 7 buildings around the Queen's Park Savannah. On Thursday, Minister of National Diversity and Social Integration, the Honourable Clifton Dikoto, said that Cabinet had taken a decision to expend $700,000 for the project, as it is believed that due to the level of deterioration, the building would not be able to withstand severe weather during this rainy season.
Millfleur was sold to the Joseph Salvatore family, from which time it became the residence of the Salvatore. And after the death of the Salvatore, Mr. Salvatore in 1959, Mr. Salvatore was the sole occupant until her death in 1971. The mansion subsequently became the property of Mrs. Piet Lilong, the only daughter of Mr. and Mrs. J. Salvatore. Mrs. Lilong lived in Paris, and in 1973 she sold Millfleur to George Matuk. In June 1979, the government of Trinidad and Tobago purchased the house from Mr. Matuk for approximately $1 million.
The Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago will facilitate the project, as a team of specialists in restoration architecture will oversee the works. Minister Dikoto said by the time the full restoration of the edifice is completed in March 2015, an approximate $46,646,600 will be spent. He explained that $30 million will come through the draft estimates of Development Program 2014, while the remaining funds will come through the same program in 2015. It is said that upon completion, visitors to the estate will be transported back to the era of the early 1900s, since the building will be internally outfitted as a period building and will maintain the estate's historical and architectural integrity. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you for joining us.